How are we doing there, boys and girls? Manthus here, and welcome back to another video. So, you may see that we're in the moor today. What are we doing out here? Well, we're going to be talking about the Crafter's Mark Rank 2. This is a cool little thing you can pick up for your crafting professions that's going to, about to explode in popularity, let's put it that way. Now, up until this point in the game, not many people have been able to get their hands on it for one simple reason. It's a pain in the ass to farm up. Not the fact that you have to kill many specific mobs to get it, but you've got to get pretty friendly with this one. Venari. She's going to sell you this once you become, I think, what's the official title she gives it? Cordial. You have to be cordial with Venari to pick this up. In relative terms to any other reputation we've ever dealt with in World of Warcraft, that's the equivalent of revered. So it's going to have meant that you're going to have put in a pretty solid shift in the moor to be able to pick this up right now. We are starting to see on many servers now people getting their hands on this, people that have been up to date with the moor. They've been doing it on a regular basis, getting their jailer's eye to number 5 and doing all the daily quests and out in the moor killing some rares and that sort of thing. And we're starting to see people get their hands on this. You may, if you've been relatively actively playing, already have access to this and not really realise the potential that this little thing has. What does it actually do? Well, Crafter's Mark Rank 2, quite simply, is one of the optional reagents that has been implemented into Shadowlands. And it allows tailors, blacksmiths, leatherworkers, a whole bunch of professions to customize the item level of the gear that they want to craft. So if you look into a profession, for example, let's just open leatherworking while we're here. You could go to a piece of gear, say a shade-bound helm, for example, and you'll see you've got these item slots down here. You can slap missives in these to customize the secondary stats, but then you've got the item level increase one. For the most part, people are going to have access to Crafter's Mark Rank 1 and Novice Crafter's Mark. But the powerful one is Crafter's Mark Rank 2. And why? Well, it sets the item level of the gear to 168. But it does then force that player to be level 60 to be able to wear that gear. So this is quite cool. Why am I talking about this now, though? Why wasn't this something I was talking about way back in the past? Well, quite simply the fact that it's only in the last few days people have started to be able to get their hands on the actual recipe for it. And now that they've got access to the recipe, the 168 gear is starting to appear on the auction house and you're going to make a pretty penny with it. If we quickly jump over to our bank tune, for example, I did a quick search on plate. You can see the item level 168 gear here going for between 5,000 to 8,000 gold a piece. If we jump onto mail, for example, I imagine the situation is very similar. Categorize everything by item level. Wow, the mail gear is even more expensive. Anywhere between 12,000 to 20,000 gold a piece. Leather is probably the same situation. I'd imagine leather's pretty expensive. Yep, same again. 168 gear is anywhere between sort of 12 to 20,000 gold on my realm. Your prices are obviously going to vary pretty dramatically, but there's a good reason why I'm talking about this. Why do we care about item level 168 gear? Surely we're all way past that by now. Well, most people aren't, is the honest answer. Most people aren't. The item level of gear that drops in heroic dungeons is item level 171. So if you've been playing the game pretty regularly, you've been running through a few dungeons, you've done a whole bunch of heroic dungeons. We're not talking mythic dungeons yet, just heroic dungeons. Even going through heroic dungeons, you're unlikely to actually have your item level much above 168. Alts especially. This is a big thing for alts. People that want to get straight to level 60, get straight into some of the more considered end game content, this is going to be perfect gear for them. It's going to fit quite comfortably in the middle of, it's not going to be as expensive as BOE, like epic BOEs, for example. They're easily 50k plus a piece right now. Your legendary is another item you're going to want to pick up, but you've got to work towards that. The most amount of item level points you can easily obtain is going to be from this gear. There's one other big defining feature that comes out this week that is going to mean everybody is going to want to be at least item level 170. LFR. Our favourite way to run the raid is going to be opening up. Wing 1 of LFR comes out the exact same time as the Mythic raid launches. So both ends of the spectrum get the ability to go into the raid. The really hardcore raiders are going to have already worked through normal and have already worked through heroic, but are going to be tackling mythic as of next week, or as of the next reset. By the time this comes out, the likelihood is, if you're in the US, the reset has happened. Here in the EU, the reset is about to happen tomorrow. We're a bit slow. But everybody is going to very quickly have this desire to be item level at least 170. And this Crafter's Mark rank 2 gear is going to be super popular in the next few days, simply for the fact it's the quickest, easiest, and in a lot of cases most cost effective way for people to achieve that. So let's take a little look into the Crafter's Mark 2 in just a touch more detail. We know how we get it. We have to go do some grinding with them all. One thing to note with the Crafter's Mark II, the reason why it's still relatively rare is that the actual Crafter's Mark itself is bind on pickup. You can't trade these across your characters. You can't sell them on the auction house. It is entirely a personal use thing. But of course, you use the Crafter's Mark when crafting an item, and that item then maintains its bind on equip facility, should we say, which is really handy. Now, how much does it cost to make one of these Crafter's Marks? Well, this has its own crafting cost itself, and it's a lot more dramatic for some professions than it is others. So this is where it may be helpful that if you have unlocked Crafter's Mark rank 2, or at least you're getting really close to it, you may want to look at what your professions are and see whether it's going to be more optimal for you to craft it on one profession than maybe another. For example, if you happen to be a tailor, 10 pieces of shrouded cloth right now costs literally nothing. Penumbra thread is just a vendor item that's relatively low cost in comparison, so tailors get the ability to make these pretty cheaply and easily, whereas on the other hand, leatherwork is, for example, heavy desolate leather, not a problem, but heavy callous hide, ouch, that's quite expensive. That makes making the Crafter's Mark rank 2 kind of costly. Now, if you're the kind of character that just focuses on one specific profession, it may be worthwhile picking up another profession that can craft your Crafter's Marks for you at a much cheaper rate to then increase your profits. That's something you could possibly look at, but that's kind of up to you. Be aware, though, that there is some very different costs per profession to actually make these, which is quite an interesting thing. But this is only going to become more popular because, like I said, December 15th, 16th, Raid Finder Wing 1. And it's been found out that you're going to need that item level 170 to have access to Raid Finder Wing 1. A lot of you are probably sat there right now going, well, I'm so overgeared, this isn't going to make any difference to me. But I guarantee you, the majority of the player base might have done their normal dungeons, might have done their heroic dungeons, might have done 1 or 2 Mythic Zeros maybe, but your average player on this game, considering just how many people play the game, probably is not above that item level 170 threshold as of yet, and they're going to want to buy this gear. So, if you've got the ability to craft it, do so. Get some of those items on the auction house. As of the next reset, the price of these is going to absolutely explode. Well, maybe not necessarily the price, but the demand absolutely for sure. So get on board with this. Let me know in the comments down below if you've unlocked it yet and how you've been doing with selling it. Some of the gear is going to be pretty lucrative, I imagine. I'd love to see what you guys have got to say about it. But if this has been helpful, guys, remember to hit that like button, subscribe if you're new around here, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.